Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking now with Andy Wallace, one of the most famous Nevada explorers, famous for Carlin trend or Carlin style mineralization, you and Livermore. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What was your contribution to Carlin systems?
Well, we were early. John Livermore, of course, was the co-discoverer of the original Carlin deposit, for which the class of deposits is named. He was working for Newmont then. It became a Newmont deposit, but in around 1970, he decided he wanted to continue to look for that particular kind of deposit in Nevada. And he left Newmont and came back and formed our company called Cordex. And Cordex has been constantly doing exploration in Nevada since 1970, 1971, and we were successful in finding another 3 Carlin-type deposits over the years that we discovered, developed, and placed in production, and satellite deposits around those deposits. And so we've, our mines in production have principally been Carlin deposits. We've worked on other kinds of geological deposits in Nevada, one of which we're working on now, but that was where our money was made and our success was based on those discoveries. We feel like we had a geological understanding of Carlin deposits prior to the thundering herd that came later. And that gave us an up, so yeah, which we used. And our first discovery for Cordex was for a group of Toronto juniors. It was called Pinson. Pinson was a pretty high-grade open-pit oxide mine.
I've been there.
Metallurgically wonderful. We started it with a 425,000 ounce reserve. Mm-hmm. We produced 1 million ounces out of it ourselves from other discoveries around the original Pinson, and it's still active. Atna's got a quite high-grade discovery, probably mostly mineable by underground. It's something I wish we'd have found, but we didn't. We sold out a number of years ago, and Atna's, I think, claiming a couple million ounces still in reserve at Pinson. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the history of Nevada deposits. You find one thing you can get started on, but you continue to do exploration during the production phase. And Marigold's a classic example. We had a 550,000 ounce reserve there when we started. Past production plus reserves still to be mined. It's going to be a 8 million ounce deposit. And that's sort of the history of Nevada deposits. You find a good one, you better stay there. So
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. This wasn't the sort of thing where you had a model and you sat at a desk looking at satellite images.
No.
This was the sort of thing where you had experience with what made a mine out of these things in the field, yeah, and then you applied boot leather to go out and find more.
Yeah, we're very much a boot leather company. We've put a lot of money in new technologies over the years. I can name 100 things that we funded seed technology for, various kinds of geochemical and geophysical, sagebrush sampling. We've done it all, mm-hmm, but we've made all our discoveries really with boot leather, and that works for us, and other people like other things. I haven't looked at a satellite image of Nevada in probably 5 years, so we don't use them much.
So that's interesting, because a lot of people would think in a place like Nevada where there's been so much mining for so long and people have been scouring the desert for more than 100 years, you would think everything would be found already, but you're onto a new discovery right there, right outside of Tonopah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we're working, our company Cordex is funded now by Columbus Gold, and Columbus Gold has been providing our exploration funds for 9 years, I think now, and we've come up with a new virgin discovery 20 miles from Tonopah in one of the most heavily prospected areas in Nevada. I never thought I would find anything that the old timers hadn't found. This isn't a Carlin type deposit. I mean, it's associated with quartz, but we're getting samples that would have been very interested in 1900. You can get surface samples 8, 9, 10 grams, but they weren't found.
Surface
There's
samples.
no
so
surface samples.
It's not like this is under pediment cover and they just didn't know.
This is outcropping stuff, and
wow.
Why it was missed, I've been asked that I don't know how many times, but it is a new virgin discovery. We've recognized a belt that's going to contain these deposits like East Side. We've staked it all. We've staked 17,700 acres, and we're working through that now while we're getting permitting to offset drill what we've already found. So that's where we're at right now. Our goal is this year we should have our permit for drilling the original discovery we call East Side. We're permitting a 300-hole program, 47,000 feet of new road building, drill pads, so forth. It'll be core, mostly rotary drilling, but some core drilling for metallurgy as well. So that's our big thing for Columbus Gold in the United States that's going on. That's where we'll be spending all our money for the next 18 months.
Have you been down to French Guiana to look at the deposit there?
Yeah,
Do you like it?
I started in French Guiana before we had any property there. I went down with John Prochnow and we reviewed the known historic gold deposits in the country. They're a kind of deposit that I'm not particularly experienced in, but they're a huge class of deposits geologically that are similar, either in West Africa or on the Guiana Shield. And they're Archean greenstone-hosted gold deposits. They're similar geologically in West Africa to what you see in the Guiana Shield. They're very big. They can be all kinds of grade. They tend to be moderate grade deposits, but there are some better ones, and there are some low grade ones. But they're a very they tend to have sizable number of ounces, and they're very good targets. The problem when we started in French Guiana was worried about the political situation there. The Camp Cayman deposit that IM Gold has now had been rejected in French Guiana to be placed in production. But in the last couple of years, there's been a sea change in the French government and in their approach to mining. The French government has just now announced they're going to fund a $2 billion mineral exploration company. One of the principal goals of this is to develop gold mining in French Guiana. That's passed through the legislature. It's happening. The second thing that happened in French Guiana is to avoid a Camp Cayman situation. It had some special environmental problems right above the town of Cayenne. They've taken French Guiana and studied it for 3 years, and they've divided the country up into areas that you can mine and areas that you can't mine. And of course, our Paul Isnard or Montagne d'Or deposit is in an area that you can mine by open pit. So we're getting much more comfortable with dealing with the French political risk situation. It's a very interesting, underdeveloped country, but it's a department of France. They spend euros there. The food's wonderful in Cayenne, and lots of French restaurants. I've been 2 or 3 times to French Guiana, and probably will be there again.
I went there once, and on the one hand, Montagne d'Or seemed a bit remote. It wasn't quite next door to Cayenne. But on the other hand, it's not like this terribly mountainous place where it's hard to get there. It's just a matter of slogging through the distance.
Yeah, actually Montagne d'Or and another deposit called Dorlin further south are mountainous for French Guiana, but for Nevada they're hills.
Right.
And most of the country is relatively flat, tropical rainforest, what I call jungle, covered, and accesses into the interior parts of French Guiana are difficult. And we're working constantly on a road from Paul Isnard, I'll call it Paul Isnard, our deposit in French Guiana now, connecting to the mouth of the Moroni River, Saint Laurent. And there is an existing road. It's not quite big enough for putting a deposit in production, hauling big equipment in, but it's passable at various times of the year. Right now it's the rainy season. It's difficult at times. But that road work is constantly going on. But our camp is pretty much supplied by fixed wing aircraft and helicopter still.
Well, at the end of the day, if you can put Diavik into production, I think we can manage Montagne d'Or, assuming the economics are there. If the deposit pays for it, it pays for it.
That's right. We're in the middle of Columbus Gold has entered into a joint venture style agreement with a London listed company called Nordgold. Nordgold is a fairly new company that's really started in 2006, but they're now operating 9 gold mines. They're producing 900,000 ounces a year, mostly in West Africa, but also in Russia. and they're very aggressive, and they're funding an $11 million program this year, and we're over halfway through with it. We've got one drill operating now. We've drilled 8,000 of a 27,000 meter drilling program. Their second drill is in the country and on site. We'll start drilling next week. The third drill will arrive in the first couple weeks of August. And then drill results will be announced from the Paul Isnar deposit over the foreseeable future, pretty routinely. Columbus Gold is the operator. Nordgold's paying the bills. After a $30 million total expenditure, Nordgold will have earned a 50.1 interest.
Yeah, it's an incredible deal.
It's a very good. It's not your typical joint venture deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then they will probably take over as operators. They are mine operators, and seem to be quite good ones. So we're very happy. I'm on the technical committee side for Columbus. And I was just at a 2-day meeting while we were here at this conference, which I didn't get to come to, reviewing what's happening, what's going to happen in the next few months. It's a very active program, and they're very good partners, frankly. So far, no complaints at all.
Excellent. Back in Nevada, the Archean gold in French Guiana is not what you're famous for. No. East Side, great new discovery, but that's not what you're famous for either. Do you have a Carlin-style project that you're still working on, Bolo or somebody?
We have 15 projects in Nevada, 9 of which are Carlin deposits.
Okay.
A couple of them are farmed out. About a year and a half ago, Columbus Gold had sort of tried to be a prospect generator and joint venture everything. That didn't work well for us. The business was kind of bad. The number of people,
the market was bad.
Yeah, and the number of people you could take a deposit to, early stage deposit, you were really limited to juniors. We took off on this path to drill 4 or 5 of our best properties. We started at Bolo, did some more drilling at Bolo. Then the second of the 4 was Eastside. And Eastside, we've kicked into something that's really interesting. So the other 2 that we have permitted, ready to drill, are still sitting. It depends on funding. Right now, everything in Nevada is being spent for us at Eastside. The rest of the properties we're holding.
Well, that makes sense. Bird in the hand, and if you're not, overflowing with cash, you got to put it where it's.
Well, Eastside will take. We're funded through a 60-hole drilling program at Eastside by the end of the year. This permitting phase is expensive. We're halfway through it, but we should be through with it late in the year. We're hoping mid-October to start drilling. I have 2 drills scheduled for November the 1st. And then we'll drill 55 holes before Christmas, reevaluate going from there.
Wow.
But we'll have a permit.
That should give us a pretty clear idea then.
Yeah, Columbus will be a very interesting company to be following and to own stock in, because should be a continuous raft of press releases out of French Guiana, and then when we get started at Eastside, there'll be a continuous raft of press releases for 18 months, I suspect. So I think Columbus Gold is a very interesting stock to hold now.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.